Yo, we are talking nightmares. Ooh. We all get nightmares, or had nightmares, what have you. I don't have nightmares too much, maybe once every maybe 6 months, if that. Most of the time, I think I've had one bad nightmare in like a decade where I woke up and I was like stressed about it. But I was like, let's try this. Let's see if we can find some good nightmares to spook us a little bit. Make it a little creepy. Now that I'm an adult, my nightmares are different. Like the alarm clock goes off, that's a nightmare. A flat tire. Oh gosh, yeah, it's just a nightmare. Yeah, completely different than like the boogeyman now. Nightmares suck as adults. Yeah, I do. Apparently it doesn't change a whole lot because it terrifies us as kids, and then as we mature, and as most of us mature and get older, apparently our brain does too. Who would have guessed that? Maybe adult nightmares are worse because of the fact that they incorporate legit experiences into it, which is worse, makes it more realistic, makes it more surreal. Whereas in our adolescence, it's like ridiculous stuff. Let's see what we can find on nightmares. Spooky nightmares. Stephen Ob Forlip. There we go. Forced myself awake when I lost all feeling in my arms, and within the dream I was paralyzed to the ground. Turned out my real-life body was reflecting in my dream. Fell asleep with my arms above my head, and they fell asleep deeply. It took a lot of effort to force myself awake. The last dream I forced myself awake, I looked into a mirror, as an inner voice suggested it and told me to focus on the background. Then I was told to compare it to the reality around me, which triggered the response that I knew I was dreaming and that I needed to wake up. In the mirror, I could spot things that were out of place, and that triggered my brain to wake me up. That's interesting. Oh man, I fell asleep one time. It's not a nightmare. Spoiler alert, not a nightmare. I fell asleep cuddling, and she was laying on my arm, I guess, and I remember waking up in the middle of the night. I woke up. I remember vividly waking up, and I had to move. It felt like all the blood started rushing back into my arm, because my arm was completely dead. It felt like I could move it. There was just no feeling, period. And it just, when I moved, it felt like a dam broke. G for Epic Gaming. I dated this girl one time, and she was having an extreme sleepwalking / nightmare. It was maybe 3 a.m, and I was up playing some Call of Duty. Suddenly she sat up and looked in the opposite corner and said to keep them away from her. She then started to stretch her arms, saying that there were bugs crawling all over her. She got up, sat on the opposite side of the corner, and started crying. After a few minutes of crying, she went quiet, then started to have a seizure. Most terrifying 5 minutes of my life. What I gather, I think when I was younger, I think I had, I've never experienced like sleep paralysis. I know people that have. I did experience night terrors. I had that when I was younger. Like there's a few times stayed out with buddies, and I woke up. At least 2 of them that I remember. There could have been maybe one more, but I can only remember 2 of them vividly. I remember waking up. I guess first one woke up, and he was coming into the room holding like something over his nose. I was like, "What happened?" He's like, "You hit me." I looked up and looked over, and yeah, there was blood on his pillow. I was like, "Oh man, I'm sorry." Yeah, it happened again with one more buddy, and then when I was younger, me and my mom stayed at a friend's place, and apparently in the living room I was passed out on a chair. I just reached back and like hit the wall. A violent little man, but oh gosh, I've also dealt with people with seizures, but we were drinking, being dumb, and I guess the drinking didn't really sit with them. And it's not fun. Protect the head. A few people with seizures, now that I think about it. Protect the head. Make sure they have a safe environment around. The real HBC. Probably the most unsettling nightmare I've ever had. I dreamed that I was awoken by a sudden loud sound and ran into the backyard to find that my husband had put his gun in his mouth and shot himself. I dialed 911 and was screaming for an ambulance while I desperately tried to perform CPR, but I could feel the air just bubbling out through the back of his skull instead. When I woke up for real, my poor husband had to assure me over and over that he'd never do that to me, while I bawled my eyes out like a child. Some of these are worse than like the monster like comments. Like the detail is this, I don't know, that's like a very specific detail to call out. Frank 2067. For about a year straight as a kid, I had a reoccurring nightmare about E.T. killing off my entire family one by one. In my dream, he'd open the front door to my house in the middle of the night, and we could somehow see each other through the walls. He'd lock eyes with me in my bed, lift his glowing red finger, walk up to my sleeping mom and dad, touch them with it, and they'd die. Then he'd walk into my brother's room, touch him, and then he'd die. Same to my sister, then on to my dog, all while never breaking eye contact with me. Then at the end of the dream, I'd finally hide under my blanket and close my eyes in an attempt to hide from him. A while would pass, and I'd peek from behind my blanket, and E.T. would be standing at the foot of my bed and scream that scream he does in the movie when Drew Barrymore finds him in the closet. I'm 35 and I still freak the F out internally when I see E.T. Oh yeah, I do recall, you know what, that reminds me, speaking of recurring nightmares, it ain't really a nightmare. It did like recur probably the most now I think about it. Just everything was white around me. I think it was a square, like it was a really, how I was looking at it, it seemed like a square anyways. Like I was running on this line. Something was chasing me, or what it was. Like I don't think it was a monster, just something was chasing me. It wasn't terrifying, it just kept recurring though. So, damn. Okay, that's probably the one dream that's recurred the most. But when I woke up from that specific dream, everything felt sped up around me. I don't know what it was, but everything. Right when I woke up, everything felt sped up. Like if you're watching a video and you hit like the 1.25 speed and how everything just seems a touch sped up, that's kind of how everything felt. I mean, eventually it wore off, but yeah, that was always weird. Blood eye chick. Bloody chick. Blood eye chick. I grew up having night terrors, and when my anxiety gets real bad, I get super vivid nightmares. Uh-oh. The worst nightmare I've ever had is one about my spine mom. Something my friends call it. I'm in my friend's apartment, and there was this little girl who was telling me that we had to find her twin brother. I went with her to another room, and there was this warped part in the ground. We went through it, which put us back to where we started. As soon as that happened, the kid was gone, and I could hear this terrible sound that was like if a dead bear tried screaming like a human, but also slowed down. I went into the living room and saw this thing that was supposed to be my mom. It was positioned horizontally on the sliding glass door in a way that I could only see it from the back. While I was there, the screaming had stopped, and instead, there was a chirping/clicking sound. It was super bony and had a weirdly long torso with a thick spine, which is why it was called my spine mom. Anyways, it started turning its head towards me, and at that point I remembered saying "wake up" over and over again, until I finally did, or had a dream that I did. This nightmare was so vivid I remember it the clearest. I can still picture what happened even though this was from years ago. I don't like that bone sound, like the bone breaking or what have you. I have had a couple reoccurring dreams. Wrote them down. I think it only happened a couple times. Jacob Mendoza, 9,861. I actually love nightmares, like genuinely. It's like staring in a horror movie in which you're the main character. Plus you get an adrenaline rush and the relief of knowing it wasn't real when you finally wake up. It's fun. Well, when you get different perspectives, this one definitely sticks out. Might have to keep this one. Jacob, Mr. Mendoza. I mean, it's a good point, yeah. Same reason people like campfire stories. Telling spooky stuff while in safe environments. Like a lot of us, there's a reason we like horror films. If a zombie apocalypse ever happens and people still have electricity for some odd reason, but if there's something that can easily kill you right outside your door at any moment, I suppose, last thing most of us are going to be doing is, hey, let's put on a horror film, Artrilix? What is that? Work nightmares are the worst. I once had a nightmare about having to deal with a massive line of customers at McDonald's while the fryers were constantly beeping at me, and then I woke up about 3 hours before my shift. That's a real nightmare. You know what? That's the worst. Waking up minutes before your alarm. And I mean minutes, or like 10 minutes. At the absolute worst. Just waking up right before that. That's a real nightmare right there. That weirdo from next door 420. I've had tons of weird dreams in weird looking dimensions, but the one that grossed me out the most was this one where there were all these flying bugs around me, and they started pelting me on my arms and legs, and whenever they'd hit my skin, they'd stick and start burrowing in. It got so bad I looked down my arms and I could see the bugs crawling under my skin. I could see them crawling in and out of the little holes they made. I woke up, felt my skin all over to check, and once I knew I was fine, my paranoia subsided. It took making my skin crawl to a whole new level. Don't like that one. Don't like that one at all. That one's not okay. Oh man, that sucks. With the flying bugs, I thought he was talking about like mosquitoes and stuff. But, oh man, no. Yeah, there's a lot of religious ties. I'm kind of skipping those. There's a lot of religious ties to nightmares. I didn't realize. That's interesting. Oh, here's a quick one. Hans Daniel Ramus, 8,925. Han Z Daniel Ramus, 8,925. Easiest ways to get rid of lucid dreams. Listen up. Don't be scared of anything. Don't sleep. If you do sleep, don't lucid dream while you're afraid. This is those people that are all like, if you're homeless, why don't you just buy a house? You guys don't want to have nightmares? Don't sleep. Done. Next. Pretty funny. I like that one. We can keep going. We'll keep rolling through these. Ray Juko? Or is it Rahijuku? Or is it Ra-I-G-Ko? Y'all have fun with that one, alright? I have had things speak to me in dreams. Dead relatives, dead friends too. I've also always had occasional dreams of being in a random place, and then at some point months later, ending up in the place I dreamed about. It's a very weird feeling recognizing a specific, real place I have never been to as familiar. Like I have been there before, because I would dream it ahead of time. Deja vu, it's happened to me since I was a kid. The older I get, the less it happens. But when I was younger, I remember still a few times when I was a kid that right when I finally approached the moment, I kind of snapped into the moment. It's weird how it's like, I don't know, it really seems like a different sense altogether running into one of these deja vu moments. You're all like, oh my gosh, I didn't know it came from dreams. I don't daydream when I'm awake of these moments. So the only place I would have to see them, I'm assuming, would be in my dreams. Have you guys heard of people sharing nightmares? I think that was in one of the former episodes. I think we talked about that. Nightmares. Alright, thank you guys so much for joining me. I was your host, Cockles. This was Nightmares. I think that's a wrap. Maybe I entertained you. If I did, you're very welcome. You have a wonderful night. Take care.